Welcome in along with Sam Monson. I'm Steve Palazzolo, and this is your top 10 free agent cornerbacks as we head into the NFL offseason. Let's get right into the top 10. Starting at number 1, the top corner on the free agent market, it's Ronald Darby. He's played with the Buffalo Bills, the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think Darby is here on this list because his high-end play better than anyone else on this list, and he's still young, and there's still a lot for him to accomplish on a long-term deal potentially.
Yeah, he's still only 25 years old. Hit the ground running with the Buffalo Bills, was a really unexpected star as a rookie and played fantastically, showed that high-end play that I think was higher than a lot of people expected when he was coming out as a prospect. He's shown that he can cover in man coverage and zone coverage. I think he is quite versatile, even though he's probably a better man cover corner than he is a zone guy. But that means that he is a viable, desirable option for pretty much any team in the NFL that does want a top-tier cornerback in free agency. Yeah,
very good speed. Do love him in man coverage. And the big knock on him coming out of college was ball skills. Not the didn't really have the ability to break up passes coming out of Florida State, but he's shown that at the NFL level. So Ronald Darby at number 1. Number 2, maybe a surprising name for many who don't follow PFF, but Bryce Callahan, formerly of the Chicago Bears, hits the open market here. He is a slot corner, mostly a slot corner, and that's been his role, and he's been one of the best slot corners in the NFL over the last couple of years.
Right, and it's time for everybody to accept that slot corners are really valuable players in today's NFL. It's no longer a slight. It's no longer something that just happens to corners that aren't good enough to play on the outside. You put top-level coverage guys inside in the slot because those are extremely valuable. And Bryce Callahan has been a big part of that Chicago defense, turning itself around and becoming one of the best units in the game. His PFF grade has increased, has gotten better every single year of his career. He is, I think, the most desirable slot corner on the open market.
Extremely valuable, as you said. And the thing I like about this list, all sorts of different style players, and the number 3 player, completely different from the first 2. It's Kareem Jackson, who's probably in the twilight of his career, but coming off of one of the highest grades of his career where he's split time between safety and corner. I think the big question is, he's just been, mid-tier as a cornerback for the majority of his career. Can he keep up this top-notch performance that we saw in 2018?
Right, he's the first player where I think you have real question marks as to what you're going to get a year from now. This season, you ran into the year, he wasn't even a cornerback. He was playing safety for the Texans, ended up having to move back to corner given the injuries they had, and really put out a career year. It was fantastic this season, but it's a pretty significant outlier from his career in general. It's a real anomaly kind of season. Are you going to get that again? And, should he be playing corner again? Should he go back to safety as a second career? Maybe he's a safety option for some teams going forward, not necessarily a cornerback one.
Versatility can be overrated sometimes, but when you have a guy that can cover and play safety, I think it does bring a lot to a defense. Coming in at number 4, it's Jason McCourty, New England Patriots corner, who was in New England for 1 year, played solid, but they did get better play out of J.C. Jackson down the stretch. But we've seen McCourty play pretty well at times with the Cleveland Browns, at times with the Tennessee Titans, and with the New England Patriots. So what can we expect from McCourty going forward?
Yeah, another guy with some fairly significant question marks. You just don't know how well he's going to play. But as you said, he's played well now in 3 different venues, 3 different teams in completely different systems. He has shown the ability to have extremely good levels of play, even if this season with the Patriots, the scheme is going to help him out a little bit by the way they handle number 1 receivers, by the way they dedicate safety help over the top a lot of the time. So, McCourty has graded extremely well, but his numbers are going to be padded a little bit by the fact that that defense specifically sets out not to get beaten badly given their corners on the outside.
Coming in at number 5 on our list, it's Steven Nelson of the Kansas City Chiefs. An intriguing name on this list because he's had some ups and downs in his career as well, and he's given up a lot of yards over the years, but this year made a lot of plays on the ball, was really challenged and attacked down the field, but he handled it pretty well overall for the Chiefs.
Yeah, the most targeted cornerback in the NFL this season. I think he's a great example of how tough a job it is to play cornerback at the NFL level, because he is not a bad player, but neither is he good enough to shut down the opposition all the way through the game. So if he is relentlessly targeted, he's going to give up some big plays, and those are the ones that people remember sitting at home. You remember him getting torched for a touchdown, and you say Steven Nelson sucks. But that isn't true. You know, he allowed a completion percentage down around the 50s, one of the better marks in the NFL. It's just that he was targeted so much that 50% caused him real damage.
Yeah, 72.1 PFF grade was a career high, so Nelson at least hits free agency on a high note with regard to his career. Coming in at number 6, a guy that we probably thought would be higher on this list before the season, Bradley Roby of the Denver Broncos, a guy who was a part of the no-fly zone, the 2015 NFL Super Bowl champion Broncos team, but when a little bit more has been put on his plate, didn't really step up all that well this past year, 59.9 overall PFF grade.
Right, he's a player that's coming into free agency with the opposite story, coming off probably the worst season of his career, which is particularly bad for him because it's the first season that he was given that 100% full-time starter role, expected to be the guy in that secondary with Aqib Talib leaving to go play with the Los Angeles Rams. So the first time some added responsibility is put on Roby's plate, and he failed to perform. That's going to be a question mark for some teams. But again, if you go back into his career, there are multiple seasons there of pretty high level man coverage in particular play. It's going to intrigue some teams given how young he is.
Yeah, I could definitely see people trying to look at Roby as a reclamation project on the open market. The rest of the list, just a bunch of different guys who are one-year wonders, guys who have battled injury. At number 7, Pierre Desir, he's coming off of his best season playing for the Colts. It was a zone-heavy scheme, so I think the question mark is he scheme dependent? But still a pretty good season and hits the open market in a good time.
Yeah, it was. He's improved as his career's gone on. He had his career year this season, though, as you say, there's a big part of questioning just how much the scheme propped him up. But he'll be another intriguing guy that there's plenty of teams in today's NFL that play a ton of zone coverage. In fact, pretty much every team in the NFL plays more zone overall than they do man. There aren't many that are more man heavy than zone, so he's going to attract some suitors.
77.5 overall grade last season. Coming in at number 8, we didn't really know where to rank him, but it's Jason Verrett, who's essentially played about, a season and a half's worth of snaps over his 4-year career. But when he's been healthy, Sam, he's played at an incredible level. He's only 5'9", 5'10". You think that's a slot corner, but he's played on the outside and played it extremely well. Somebody's going to take a chance on Verrett just to see if he could stay healthy.
Yeah, he is a complete wild card because a fully healthy Jason Verrett may be a top 5 cornerback. He may be a legitimate all-pro caliber player, but at this point you can't possibly rely on him being fully healthy at all. His injury question mark is a complete gamble. So somebody's going to roll the dice, try and get him on a incentive-laden, low-price kind of deal, and see if they can keep him healthy for any period of time. And if they do, it likely dramatically increases or improves their secondary.
An incredible 88.4 grade the last time we saw him play a full season, which was 2015, but only 233 snaps since that point. Rounding out the top 10, we have Morris Claiborne, another guy drafted extremely high, a little disappointing with the Dallas Cowboys. We've seen bouts of good play from him over the last couple of years, but a big risk for Claiborne to be able to duplicate what he did a couple of years ago when he played pretty well.
Yeah, I don't think there's any real danger of that happening, to be honest. I think we saw some pretty rough play for him for the first few years of his career. They had that half season of incredible play, and then he's kind of settled down to being an average to below average cornerback starter in the NFL. So there is value to that. Again, it's a really tough position to play. So if you have a terrible cornerback situation, you could do worse and upgrade to Morris Claiborne. But I think the days are gone of expecting him to come in and be, a Pro Bowl or justify the high first-round pick that he was when he was picked. And
then rounding out the top 10, it's Rashad Melvin. He was coming off his career year was 2017. Goes to the Oakland Raiders and drops further back, to where he was pretty much before, but a 77.9 grade in 2017 down to 60.5 last year with the Raiders.
Right, but that half season of play, again, is going to get some people intrigued because he was incredible for that stretch with the Colts that got him the job in Oakland. And there's also going to be a part of, I don't know how much you can trust the grades coming out of Oakland, given how bad that defense was playing without a superstar like Khalil Mack up front.
With no pass rush.
Right. Yeah. I think there's a bunch of people that could come out of Oakland and rebound the next season in a different scenario with a bit more talent around them.
Well, so you want to keep an eye on Rashad Melvin to bounce back?
Yeah, I think it could happen.
All right, well, check out the entire free agent list right here on the YouTube channel or over at ProFootballFocus.com, and stick with us this entire offseason as we break down free agency and the NFL draft.